It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 296. Tonight I'm joined by Emo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hi.
Kodra.
Hello.
Tamriello.
Hello.
Thalen.
Don't trust foxes that offer to sell you art.
And because, for whatever reason, Grace is in the wrong order, Grace!
Hi.
Thank you for fixing that, because otherwise Grace might get clipped when she talks. Welcome back, Grace! We missed you!
I missed you guys. Life is weird. I'm happy to be back.
Life is real weird.
Life is real weird.
Yep.
Because, this was week 9 for you, right, Tam?
Week 8, I think.
What does this mean?
Yeah, also that.
I thought you were 3 full weeks ahead of me, and this was week 6 for me. But it doesn't matter. It's been a really long time, and it's really weird.
It's generous of you to think that we're able to discern 1 week from another at this point.
Yeah. It means less than it ever did.
Bold of you to think I know what month it is.
I'm vaguely able to keep track of time thanks to television shows and Final Fantasy dailies rolling over.
That's
on Animal Crossing.
I was going to say, Animal Crossing tells me what day it is and the time, which is sometimes important.
So you got to know. You got to keep track of the day and the time if you want to make that fat turnip money.
That's right.
Tomorrow is turnip day.
Tomorrow is turnip day.
Actually, today will be turnip day when people actually listen to this.
It's true.
Go buy your turnips.
Stonks.
I have not been buying turnips, but I actually want to buy some this week, not to speculate on them, but as a really cheap source of ways to move things around on my island. Because just like eating fruit, you can eat a turnip and use it to move stuff.
This is true.
And usually it's way the hell cheaper than fruit.
If you have any Easter eggs left, those also work for that.
Okay. I will gleefully eat those.
Eggs are in fact food.
I mean, I guess if you say so.
I mean, what
I'm not sure if I trust where these eggs came from.
The ground. Some of them were on balloons flying over the island. The
ground eggs may be 100-year eggs. I don't know.
That makes me less likely to want to eat them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing. At least it's not balut or whatever that's called. Hopefully not. So this week a thing got released, and it has caught the tech press by storm, and I am playing with it right now. In fact, you're hearing my voice spread out through it. NVIDIA released something called RTX Voice. The theory being it was designed for only RTX cards. Hint, I don't have an RTX card. I do have a 1080 Ti, which is still a beefy card, but I do not have a RTX series card. But because this is beta, very beta, all you have to do is try and install it and let it tell you that it failed, then go into the temp directory and basically make a single edit to a text file that tells it not to install on anything other than an RTX card. And then the install goes by fine and it works perfectly. Basically, it applies AI to voice and filters out background audio. And I have been playing with this, and I can sit here and bang on my keyboard, and you'll barely know that I'm hitting my keyboard. In fact, right now I'm hitting my keyboard. I don't know if you're hearing it, but probably not.
No, we aren't.
No,
it's pretty impressive.
I was just pounding on my keyboard. So basically, what it does is it sets up a virtual sound card, and in the configuration, you tell it what audio device to listen to. So I have RTX Voice listening to my microphone, and then TeamSpeak thinks RTX Voice is my microphone. So all of the input from my microphone gets filtered through the AI routine of RTX Voice, and it somehow knows what is my voice and what is noise that it should be filtering out. So there's tons of videos out there playing with this. The funniest thing is it also works to where you can have a sound card that filters through RTX audio. I have been using this in conference calls because I have a couple coworkers that have the worst background audio ever.
Oh, wow.
It just miraculously goes away. Now, funny experiment. I was playing World of Warcraft yesterday, and I decided I'll pipe World of Warcraft through. And and I was sitting on an Alliance character in Borealis, which is the Battle for Azeroth Alliance hub. And the audio is this, rousing, epic orchestral piece that has vocal in the background. And when you're listening to it, you don't even really notice there's human voice back there. When you're piping the audio through RTX Voice, you hear no instruments at all. You just hear the occasional vocal track that's playing through.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, it is really freaking cool. It is currently in beta. I would think that they would patch it out to where it won't run on anything other than an RTX card, but it is pretty widespread at this point, and they would probably have a massive backlash if that happened. It is shocking how good it works. So if you have need for such a thing, I would highly check out playing with it. And supposedly it works on anything newer than a GeForce 400 series, which is ancient.
Yeah.
So is our podcast being filtered through RTX audio now?
No, but my mic, right now, my voice is going through that.
Yes,
Nothing
I realize.
else is being filtered through it.
But I also realize that I helicopter like crazy sometimes. Would this solve that? If we piped our podcast audio through that and you could filter out our background noise?
I'm afraid it would cut out too much. Because I've had experiences, especially when listening through RTX, it filters a little too much because there's not an active voice for it to latch on to, so it gets confused as to what it should be filtering. However, if you installed RTX audio on your machine and basically did what I'm doing to where your mic input is filtered through, then I wouldn't hear Eli in the background. I wouldn't hear your helicopter, that sort of stuff. Nobody would. That's just kind of a thing that it does. Earlier, I held up a fan to the microphone and had it blowing straight on the microphone, and I don't think y'all heard it, did you?
No.
Yeah, exactly. It's nonsense. Just it's a bit I don't know. This is the future. You always hear about technology that's just a couple years it'll be able to do this or do that, but this just got released and it makes good on every possible promise. I would not be surprised if AMD comes up with their own version of this, because it's essentially it's designed to use the tensor cores anytime they're not under load, because they really don't do a lot unless you're actively ray tracing. However, the way that the tensor cores work is they fall back and use CUDA cores if they're not available. And there's been CUDA cores in NVIDIA cards for years. So supposedly any card with CUDA cores will run it. But anyway, it is magical. And I am a fan already. And I've only been playing with it for a day. But I have had a background hum in my microphone for a while. And I don't know if y'all hear it, but I certainly hear it when I edit the podcast. And based on my limited recordings, this completely removes it. So I am happy. So other things that are, relevant topics. Kodra, I hear you're playing a lot of Mario Kart.
I am playing a lot of Mario Kart. So we're all stuck inside, and entertaining our 3-year-old Eli is a pretty big part of both Gabri and I's day. So it was like, I've been playing Pokemon with him for a while, which is not very engaging for him, just because, I mean, he loves it. He absolutely, like, it's still his favorite game. He wants me to play Pokemon all the time because he gets to nickname all of the creatures I catch. That's great, but it doesn't mean, like, he's never going to hold the controller. He's not moving around. I really am trying to, like, on-ramp him to video games type of thing. And so I looked online and...
Do you have Sonic 2?
I don't have Sonic 2.
Yep. That was my thought, too.
Well, the on-ramp that I found online was Mario Kart. The new Mario Kart, which has features that let you turn on auto gas and never go off the track modes.
Aha.
It even starts with one of them on by default.
Which one?
The never go off the track mode.
So yeah, like, the game will let you basically sit there and not really have to be putting in much inputs to still get yourself across the finish line. And he's really having a lot of fun with that because, I mean, he can sit there and we're like, oh, you need to hit the item button to use your items. And then me and my wife can play alongside him. And so it's been a good family bonding experience. And I'm just trying to, like, I know Sonic 2 is out there.
Sonic Mania also does this.
I was going to say, I don't know how I could play Sonic 2 in a way that would be conducive to playing with Eli.
Sonic Mania. But
Sonic
I'm also
Mania?
pretty sure you can play Sonic 2 on the Switch.
Same. I'm pretty sure it's there. I don't remember offhand.
Huh. Okay. I'll have to check that out. I mean, it's not part of the virtual console, but if it's a downloadable, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's there.
I might have to pick up Mario Kart. I suspect Francis would be really into that, given that it's, cars.
Yeah. Eli's favorite part is picking who his character is and what car he's in and then what level we're going to play. He really likes thwomps.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean you're playing a lot of Rainbow Road?
No, I'm playing a lot. Rainbow Road is one of the two that he wants, but the other is the Thwomp Ruins. I'm playing a lot of Thwomp Ruins.
I really like Thwomp Ruins. It's one of my favorite tracks.
It's a fun one. He really likes it too.
The game that I've been playing with Francis is Katamari Damacy, which is one of the first things I picked up when I got a Switch, because it's Katamari, and that's like one of the best games ever. And he thinks it's hilarious, and basically I'll give him the controller and he'll roll his ball around and laugh uproariously when a mouse attacks him. And yeah. But something where he can actually like complete it with, the minimal input that he tends to put into it. That might be good.
Interesting. I don't know how Katamari Damacy works. I thought like it took a little more strategy and input than that.
I mean, he doesn't actually complete levels, but it doesn't.
But he is able
there's
to
no punishment.
Move things around.
Yeah, it's just twin stick to roll the ball around, and he's got that figured out at this point, and he really enjoys making the prince jump up in the air. But yeah, that's it. Because of that, the Switch is the ball game, and anytime he sees me, playing something on it, he'll start in like, I want to play the ball game. Daddy's playing Animal Crossing right now. I want to play the ball game.
Oh my goodness. That is definitely a thing that I hear all of the time. Is like whenever I'm playing Mario or whenever I'm playing Animal Crossing, I have not gotten to play Animal Crossing because it's like, let's play the Pokemon game. And so I got wise at one point. I installed the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon because that's at least a little bit more engaging for me than just going around and catching Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But he got wise too and was like, no. I want the Pokeball Pokemon.
Yep, they're smart.
Like, no. I know which one. I want the one where you throw Pokeballs.
Yep.
It's that and the Goose Game that he asked for the most.
Ooh, I should try Goose Game too.
Goose Game is
Probably be
hilarious.
entertained by that.
Goose Game is hilarious, and watching the goose be horrible is very amusing to small children.
I wonder if Eli would be able to do Let's Go Pokemon.
Let's Go Pokemon is actually what they recommended for like the step above Mario Kart interactivity. Like for 4-year-olds, I think is where they placed that game.
Like, especially with Joy-Cons, it's a lot of just like motion control.
The other thing that I keep intending to do, but it means needing to hook the Xbox back up, is to break out Rock Band and turn on No Fail and give him the drums. Because then we can play together. I can play guitar and actually play, and he can bang on drums.
Man, it makes me wish I could get like a Rock Band for the Switch. I guess I could get a Rock Band for the PS4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
maybe I'll have to do that.
Let me rephrase. No, but not because it's not available.
Is it sold out everywhere?
Yeah, it hasn't been made for a few years now.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that haven't been made for a few years, and I finally took a look at this week, Ring Fit Adventure.
That was only last year, but they definitely didn't make enough.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people like talking like it's amazing.
I've been getting my exercise from Beat Saber. Surprisingly effective.
Ooh,
I would really like to have Ring Fit Adventure, but like it has been sold out since the day it came out. So
basically, you can't even get a knockoff ring.
Well, I don't think you can buy the game separate, even if you could.
No, I guess not. I guess they'd make it available digitally.
So what is Beat Saber? Is that just PSVR?
Yep, PSVR. That's what I've been playing on it. I get a surprising amount of exercise from it.
Now I'm wondering if I could get like a like 1 or 2 pound controller or something.
I mean, you could just get wrist weights.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
That makes sense.
Like if you get wrist weights and like you could get a weight belt, and so all the squats that you do, you would feel the weight belt, and then all the other motions you would have wrist weights, or you could just play on a higher difficulty setting, and that would probably be enough.
I think it was 3-Panel Soul, or maybe one of the authors that made the comment of it. No, it was not. It was somebody else. I just saw a comment that was like, it's kind of sad about what it says, that I'm probably more motivated to do exercise in Ring Fit Adventure to kill a goblin than I am to actually improve my livelihood. But it spoke to me. I was like, yeah, maybe I should try one of those games. I when I had the Wii balance board going, I was on that pretty regularly, actually.
I never got into that one, but I do really enjoy Beat Saber. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, when Pokemon Go was fresh and new, I was doing a lot of walking around the neighborhood. I mean, like, I think Ring Fit Adventure does the thing that I've always kind of wanted, because I've wanted a game like Pokemon Go that's basically a dungeon crawl, where you go out and walk around and you're actually doing like a more of an RP type game with fights and that sort of stuff. And like it's somehow interactive with the AR integration, but it's not just like go catch things. And I feel like there's a killer game there that someone will build someday for your phone, but like I'm not exactly sure how to build it. Something along the lines of like real world Diablo with an AR device, whereas like it accesses Google Maps or something to like build out a randomized dungeon in your neighborhood, and then you walk through it.
I don't think that sounds like, I don't know. Sounds a little iffy for me.
You would definitely need some way to tell the game, and no, I can't actually go there.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, no, that is not a place that we can go today. Thank you.
I just want Pokemon Go to have a better idea of what proximity means.
Yeah.
Like, 30 blocks away is not proximity. Like, oh, it's just over here. Yeah, 30 blocks away. No.
Well,
yeah, no.
I mean, we've talked about this before. Like, Pokemon Go is real miserable when you live in the suburbs.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is not a good experience.
Yeah, it's not very functional when you live in a rural place at all.
Yeah.
Oh, look, another trash Pokemon. Thanks.
I wish that the city experience were... the city experience is great and continues to be great, and I wish that it were consistent everywhere. And it's, I don't know, depressing to me that they didn't think of that somehow.
Yeah. And I guess the thing is like there's not been another game. I expected there to be a ton of games that did this similar thing, but just did different things with it to kind of experiment on and grow the genre. But like, really, you have a knockoff of Pokemon Go, and I forget the name of it. I played it a little bit, and it wasn't anywhere near as good. You have a
Are you referring to Wizards Unite?
No. Wizards Unite was another one that I was going to bring out. But like, it's not very good either. Like, at least I don't think it's very good. Walking Dead has one, but like, really, those are the only ones I can think of that have tried to do this thing. I guess Minecraft Earth exists, but I've not played it.
I hadn't actually heard of that before just now.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, it only worked on a very limited number of phones, so I need to see if it'll work on my Razer phone, because like the previous phone, my my ZTE phone, it wouldn't work on, so I should check and see if it works on Razer. It'll work on my Samsung tablet, but like, one, I don't have a SIM card in my tablet, and two, I'm not going to walk around the neighborhood with a tablet. But like, I expected several years on that this to be more evolved than it is. So I think like Pogo is in July, will be like 4 years old or something.
That sounds right.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yes, because in our last election, there was that terrible Pokemon Go to the polls.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
It's true.
That's just not good. Not good at all. Okay, Ash, how far have you made it into the Phantasy Star Online 2 story?
I am most of the way through episode 3, which is nearly to the end of the story that we have in the North American version of Phantasy Star Online 2. Just to not bury the lead, I titled the title card here is PSO2's Terrible Storytelling. I think Phantasy Star Online 2 has a perfectly fine story, but the way it's told is bad. Some history. This game originally came out in, 2012? 2013? Not a recent game anymore.
Yeah, it's an old game.
It has delivered the story in a series of episodes. Japan is up to episode 6. We are stuck at episode 3. However, when episode 4 came out, they decided the game needed a new intro. We don't have that intro, but
We've played it.
But I have played it because Belle and I tried to play it on Japanese servers some time ago. But we have part of the original intro, but we don't have the original story, which they've basically completely blown up. We have what they turned into the summary story. And also, episode 1 story is, I'm not actually going to call that good. Episode 1 story is quite awful. It's boring and predictable, and everything happens exactly as you anticipate. But it's told mostly through like some cutscene vignettes that are not exactly connected. And every so often they'll tell you to go do an expedition so you can see the next set of them.
What's an expedition?
An expedition is one of the like normal missions you can go on. You go to a zone, you work your way through it, and fight a boss at the end.
Okay, so maybe I don't know what Phantasy Star Online is. What you described sounds like terms I would expect to hear while playing Destiny.
It's similar to Destiny in the way it's laid out. It's a lobby-based game.
It's a lobby-based MMO. It's the first lobby-based MMO.
It was my first MMO, period. I played it before I played EverQuest.
Okay, so it's lobby-based MMO, but there's no, because it's lobby-based, there's no shared space?
The expeditions are somewhat shared spaces. Multiple parties can be in them at once. But when you go to the boss, it is your party alone.
That was not a thing in Phantasy Star 1. Like, you were basically on a planet by yourself in a strike-like mission.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons they have. PSO2 has multi-party areas and likes to put you in them a lot. So you will frequently see other players even if you are not in a party. To get back to the story, every so often the episode 1 storyline is not very interactive either. You mostly get to watch people do things on various planets. And every so often you get to fight a boss or something as part of the story. They definitely made this a little better in episode 2. There are more interactive missions. There are more missions that are not just, hey, go do a boss fight. And the end of episode 2 mission is very, very long and needs to come with an FF14 style. Please make some time for this. Warning. It involves cutscenes, it involves a lot of gameplay, but I was not prepared for when I started it. It also has checkpoints, so apparently you can come back to it if you need to take a break.
Well, that's good.
So, as far as I've played, and I've played 3 hours. Well, I've played more like 5 hours, but 3 hours on one character.
And unless you've gone into the menu to specifically do story missions, you may not have seen any of the story.
I don't think I've seen a bunch of helpful tutorials. I've done a couple of expeditions, and then I had one completely out of left field. I'm suddenly on a planet for some reason, and I fight this like other crazy person, and I guess that's important or something, and they introduce some other character who's a jackass.
Episode 1 storyline sucks.
Like it was,
I think I said that.
Yeah. Okay. Because like I couldn't figure out if it was telling me story.
It's attempting to tell you story, but definitely in the early days, attempting was the right phrase. Like you have this random cutscene with this masked character who makes no sense, and this random cutscene with this complete asshole who is a complete asshole for no good reason.
Yeah. And they're both completely different from the other random people you've met.
Yes. I think those are the first cutscenes with those two characters, and I guess you're expected to know who they are even though you don't.
I mean, at least you're not suddenly on Tokyo or in Tokyo.
It's true in that in episode 4 not existing in our client means you can't get that disorientation.
Suddenly in Tokyo?
Yeah. No, I mean, like...
So after episode 3, they decided to stop with fictional planets, and some of the stuff is set on Earth.
Okay.
What?
But it's like modern Earth.
What? All right.
Don't worry about it.
Cool.
But, like, some effort was made into attempting to make this work for the North American client. But it's not like a square-sized effort.
More triangular, you might say?
I mean, I think they had a couple interns that could translate.
They didn't have a Michael Christopher Koji Fox, is all I'm saying.
Before we started recording, like I said, there's a vast difference between translation and localization.
This is splitting the difference, because you can play a translated version of this game.
Yeah, and it was not any clearer.
This, at least, it became clearer. It really is just that episode 1 is awful, and the way the story is told does not improve things. But even when the story gets better, the disjointed cutscenes don't really help. They just stop assuming things happened between cutscenes, which episode 1 did.
Do they at least introduce you to the characters that you supposedly are old friends with in episode 4?
I mean, those characters are, I think, Aphin and Echo and Xeno, and you see a lot of them in episodes 1 through 3.
Okay. That was the most disorienting thing, is you're like suddenly thrust into some storyline, and here's all these characters that act like your old friends, and like I didn't know we were jumping straight to episode 4. I wasn't aware of that.
Hey, it's a Guild Wars problem.
Yeah.
It is exactly that problem, and for exactly that reason. They did at least consider that somebody might want to play the content available in the earlier episodes, so we can play the content that they arranged for that purpose. But it's still not the best. Apparently, though, there is an anime. There are actually 2 PSO2 animes, but one of them I'm told you should never see. But Episode Oracle is a rundown of episodes 1 through 3 in anime form. So I'm probably going to try to dig that up and see if I can watch it.
The PSO2 new player experience is
fraught.
Yes, it is not the worst new player experience I've had. Because like,
in my opinion, once you know that there is a feature that is the things you should do, it improves. And they try their best to point you toward this feature at the start.
Yeah. If you have to be like, you have to make a conscious decision to be like, I'm not going to try to be good at this game for a while.
Ooh.
And then it's better. Because otherwise you're going to be like, there are 300 million things to do. There's numbers everywhere. There's gear everywhere. There's classes everywhere. I can switch all of these things. I can unlock all of these things. I can feed a robot. I don't even know if I should. I don't know what any of these numbers do. And it's not really going to explain it to you. And you really just have to just sit back and let it wash over you. And
I don't entirely agree with that assessment.
I mean, that's 100% been my experience after having you point me in various directions. And I just have to be like, nope, I'm not going to care about this right now. I'm going to play this and understand buttons. And then, I'm going to get some ability drops. Let's equip those. Okay. And like, I slowly understand But like trying to beeline towards I'm a competent player with a competent build, absolutely not. I mean, unless you have an incredible knack for taking a big, complicated, wide system and digesting it all at once, which admittedly you do.
Yeah, kind of.
But like if you don't, it's absolutely unmanageable.
There are a lot of systems, and they're not all important at once.
Well, and like my saving grace initially was like a lot of this stuff existed in the first game, or at least the later revisions of the first game.
Like I've had the game impress upon me the importance of a mag, but I don't know what it does. I don't know why I care, and I don't know why I want to feed it items, or even what items I want to feed it, or why. And
telepipes.
And like, I'm sure there's an answer, but it's like buried in a bunch of things, and I don't know where it sits in the priority of things I should figure out.
Those are the like floaty shoulder robots, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is still the case, but it used to be that basically the stats that they ended up developing were based upon the type of items you fed them.
That's still true.
That seems
and
to
those
be the
stats
case.
are added to your stats.
Yeah. I don't know. I could probably digest it if I went and read through like 100 pages of guides.
And I won't lie, like the community for Phantasy Star Online 2, because it's been unofficial for like a decade now, is real incomprehensible.
Oh, it's totally incomprehensible.
Yes. And a lot of things, like things are not the same in the version we have and the version that's been out for several years.
Oh, no.
Yep.
So you can't even go and look on community sites to figure out what's up.
Right.
Some of them are starting to adapt, but yeah, buyer beware.
Like at the same time, my experience has been I have some cool abilities. I can go out and do missions. These missions are fun in a like beat 'em up arcadey sort of way. And I gradually get better gear and new abilities and stuff, and that's cool. And so as long as I'm not trying to like zoom out and get perspective on where I sit in the game as a whole, it's actually a lot of fun. Hop in, do some missions, beat some stuff up. I'm a like mecha sword thing. Different enemies are fun to fight.
Ah, so you are a cast as well.
Look, I have an alt that is also a cast. How could you not make a robot?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I chose the creepy face robot, so...
I did not choose a creepy face robot.
I did not choose a creepy face. I have, like, a Gundam face, but whatever.
I also just made a human, I don't know, sword, like, not giant sword, smaller sword person. P.S. Their class names are absolute nonsense and not helpful in any way at all.
I wish they had changed some of them, yes.
Again, difference between translation and localization.
That's not even that.
Your classes are like
the Hunter Ranger thing. That's from old PSO.
Hunter,
Right,
Ranger,
exactly.
Braver, Hunter, Ranger, Braver, Gunner, Bouncer. Like Bouncer,
Right, but-
I understand because it's a silly name for a silly class. And it's-
But, like,
so like I
what-
can remember that.
What I mean, though, is like, if they were really wanting to localize it, they could have shifted the class names to something that makes more sense to a Western audience.
But they would have had to ship the class names like 2 decades ago because Hunter, Ranger, Force are all classes from the original Phantasy Star Online.
Yeah,
And people would have been mad if they had changed them.
I guess. I wouldn't have necessarily cared.
Sometimes you make a mistake in naming a thing and you should change that name rather than perpetuate it.
Nope, we've been stuck with this one since, all the other Phantasy Star games also perpetuated that one. So I'm just used to those. But yeah, I will definitely agree that it is not intuitive that Ranger is the one that uses a gun and Hunter is the one that uses a sword.
Braver uses a sword and a gun.
And a bow.
And a bow. But no, it's not
Honestly,
helpful.
when I play it, it just uses the sword.
I swap back and forth. I like both of those.
I like both of the bouncer weapons. I don't really like both of the braver weapons. Jet boots are probably the most fun weapon in the game.
That's fair. But yeah, its new player experience leaves a lot to be desired. And my favorite part of it is because I started doing the like, hey, these are some quests that you should do. And that part's actually really cool because it shows you, hey, here's all of the people that you should talk to unlock various things. And when you do all of them, it's like a chapter. And that leads you to the next chapter, which has things that build upon that. which is actually not a bad structure. It's not presented all that well, but the structure isn't bad. But one of my favorite things is there's one that's like, oh, you should talk to this person 12 times and unlock 12 new systems.
What?
And I'm like, what? Like, oh, no, here's the system that lets you double the number of weapons you can have equipped at any given time, as well as their loadouts. I'm like, wait. Here's the one that lets you... I don't even know what the system did, and it used a bunch of terms that went through my brain like a sieve because they didn't mean anything to me. But it was like, now you can something, the something. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's cool. Now you can go on hard mode missions. Oh, all right. Cool, you unlocked all this stuff. Time for the next chapter. I'm like, all right, I guess that's cool. I don't think I'm gonna, but...
I mean, it's basically NPC in the place of a brochure rack.
The fact that the NPC's name is Coffee doesn't really do any favors.
No, it's true.
There was at least one of those. Like, I think you unlock extra sub-palettes, which are basically action bars.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out how to equip my extra ones for a very long time. You have to switch to a separate page while you were setting them up, because you only have access to 3 of them at a time.
Yeah. I was like, I don't even use the 3 that I already have, much less 3 more.
I do.
I don't know how. I have a katana, a bow, and that's it.
I don't put like attacks on those, but there are a lot of activated abilities that I put on those.
I don't even have that many activated abilities.
Well, they're also shared between classes. So like this class has the ones for Protector, and this class has the ones for Braver, and this class has the ones for this bar has the ones for Bouncer, so on and so forth.
Oh, okay. So if you're playing multiple different classes.
Also, like buff spells, I put on those.
I don't have any of those.
I'm mostly playing the magic classes, so I have those too.
That's fair. Yeah, like I've gotten a bunch of new abilities, but they're not for weapons that I use, so they're just sort of taking up space in my inventory.
You should see if they sell for anything.
I'm pretty sure that they don't, because they're all for the Gunblade and Wire Lance.
The Wired Lance is good and has some valuable PAs, but the Gunblade is not.
I'm not even sure what a Wired Lance is, if I'm honest.
If you start as a hunter, you start with one equipped. It's the 2, like...
I started with a sword.
Chain whip things. Yeah, it's by default in your second weapon slot.
Oh, I definitely haven't even touched that.
Between your sword and the Gunblade.
Oh, no. There's the big sword, and I didn't need another weapon.
That's pretty accurate, though, for hunters. That sword's real good.
I mean, that's all they had in the first game, so...
But yeah, I actually don't mind. Like, I probably would have bounced off of the game if it weren't fun to just run around and do stuff. I was even able to summon a little, like, AI-controlled Ash simulacrum to run around levels with me, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, if your friends register avatars, you can summon them in your missions, which is kind of nice, even if they aren't around.
But I'm definitely not even pretending to try to optimize anything for the time being. I'll worry about that maybe ever.
I guess for me, I don't ever try and optimize anything until I've finished leveling. Because if everything along the path is disposable until then.
Yeah.
My recent discovery is that the crafting system, which we talked a little bit about last week, has made some things not disposable at lower levels.
Oh.
Like some things may have affixes that people want on their higher level stuff. And they drop on lower level stuff. So either saving or selling those can be useful. Thankfully, it lets you search shop prices by affix so you can see what these are. It definitely does add to that, hey, anything that drops can be valuable, but it also means that it takes me longer than I would normally expect to go through my stuff.
I remember that being a thing in 1, even, that it took a long time for me to go through everything that I got in a mission and evaluate if any of it was useful.
One of the funny things, though, is I started mostly on Summoner, and Summoner gets to ignore all this. They have their own weird system, but I don't have to care about weapon affixes. I don't have to care about weapon affixing. I can just dump all of it. I have to care about eggs. I have to care about leveling my pets. But I'm not convinced that's a more complicated system. I mean, okay, it's a more expensive system eventually, but I don't even have to be optimal with it right now, so it's not even costing me a whole lot. There's a lot of I don't have to care in this game. The difference between viable and optimal is I don't know. I can't see the difference between those things yet.
But I definitely don't feel like I'm working very hard to hit viable.
Right, like that was
which is nice.
I remember the most from playing the Japanese version is it really did not seem like it required a ton of work to be able to just function and go through the missions. Some of the bigger fights were maybe a little bit harder because, like, you definitely don't want to get hit by things, but if you are used to avoiding things in Final Fantasy XIV, like, the messaging is pretty similar. And with that, I am going to segue. Because some news about Final Fantasy XIV came out this week. And apparently we're going to fly in the old world?
Yep.
So this news came at a time that I just, over the last week and a half maybe, made an alt and started leveling just to play through the story again and be dumb. And it's been really entertaining and really interesting to be reminded of a lot of things that I did not remember. But then we get this announcement that not only are they adding flying to the original zones of the world, but also apparently streamlining the main story quest a bit.
Yep.
Yes.
Hopefully, specifically in the front end.
Hopefully.
I would imagine so.
Yeah,
That's where
definitely.
it needs it.
Yeah, it was in like the stuff like right after ARR, that kind of really long gap, I think, or area.
Yeah, I mean, so just earlier this week, I hit 50. I, ran the 2 8-person raids, right? Castrum, Torium. Forgot totally that the credits roll immediately after you exit that dungeon, so that was a thing. That was a revelation of a sort. And then the other revelation is the number of quests that appear in front of you immediately upon completing that. And it's quite overwhelming. We've been kind of slowly picking our way through things in order as much as possible, but playing through it right now, I can see a lot of places where things could be tightened up quite a bit. So I'm glad that I'm playing through it so that I can see it one more time before it becomes changed, but also for new players, boy, it really should be changed.
So one of the big things with the 2.1 storyline is, hey, we need to get out of the Waking Sands and into this new place. But that involves a ton of busy work.
Yes. Holy cow, I'm still not finished all of that busy work.
Yeah, I think they said that's definitely one of the areas that they're fixing, so that will definitely be a good thing.
I know the other big one they said they were addressing is the 41 gap. Is it 41?
Yeah.
41, yeah.
41 to 49? Are there no requests in that gap?
Yep.
That's good.
Oh, that's interesting. So one thing that we definitely discovered is that the way that XP is right now, however it is tuned, I think maybe once in the mid-teens I had to level to get the next quest, and then after that, just from playing through the story, playing through the dungeons that it tells you to, and just a little bit of messing around in the world, not even doing any other quests. The only other time I had to stop and do a couple fates to level up was from 49 to 50. And so I had no gap in the story whatsoever. I just played through story. I cruised straight to 50.
We have another friend who had the same experience and was ready for 41 to 49 to be just a brutal slog, but was still in mid-30s quests. And that was before he started obsessively leveling rouletting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And now I am still in the process of moving things out of Waking Sands and working my way through that stuff. And I'm already 54. So that's definitely a thing.
Yeah, I think he was what was he, 57, 58 before he actually made it to Ishgard?
Yeah.
At the level cap for every expansion upon entering that expansion so far.
Yep.
But I think it's kind of entertaining that way. And especially, I mean, for me, it doesn't matter whatsoever because I'm just playing through this second time for fun. But I could see it being beneficial to be that way if you are trying to catch up to where all of your friends are in whatever the newest content is. That you can play through just on the story. You can get all of that story and context that you kind of need for the later expansions to have the weight that they do. But you don't have to stress out as much about catching up in levels, about the quest difficulty, about even gear, really.
Yeah. That's the hardest part about recommending FF14 to people, is it's like, yes, it's got the best storytelling in MMOs, bar none, but in order to get there, you have to get through ARR.
Yep.
And you can skip ARR, but if you do, the weight of a lot of the later stuff is very much missing.
Yeah, so much of it comes back to things that were established during the original story.
Yeah. You need to know about Alamegan refugees in Quarry Mill.
You also need to know about Doman resistance fighters in Ulda.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are callbacks, they're going to make the Crystal Tower a requirement for completing the storyline going forward.
I mean,
Probably not the worst idea because, like, that's a thing.
I mean, I guess they kind of sort of tested it with Orban Monastery for the new weapons, and I guess it worked out okay.
I mean, I hope that they streamline the entrance quest to get into that place then, because I just went
They
through
did that a while ago.
I mean, it could still be
did you have
streamlined.
did you have the Fate version?
No.
Oh, they got rid of the Fate? Oh, that's
Yeah.
an improvement.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. Yeah.
But it's still
a long
lot
quest
of
series.
busy work. Yeah, it is still a really unnecessary amount of busy work. Go get these crystals. Oh, no, get some more crystals. Oh, not those crystals, other crystals. Okay, now you need some sand. Nope, now some more sand. Other different sand. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember 10 levels of story quest about cheese.
Cheese is serious business.
So, in all honesty, I hope they keep that part.
I mean, that part is legitimately funny as an intentionally brutal parody of other MMOs.
Yes, and then they did not do that again into one.
I'd be real sad if I didn't have quests about breaking rocks.
Yeah. I mean, there's some things, like, there are big parts of the story that are really silly and or dumb that should stay. But there's also a lot of busy work after you finish the 2.0 stuff.
I mean, even before that, there's a fair bit of go get a crystal. No, that crystal won't work. Go get a different crystal. No, that crystal still won't work. Maybe another one. Like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of just cleaning up and tightening up that they could do.
There's a lot of that going into the Garuda fight.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yep.
But yeah, like shorten that a little bit, clean up whatever it is that tends to make people drop out right around Titan. Like beyond just the Titan fight, because I hadn't even gotten to the Titan fight, I don't think. But apparently that's like a normal place for people to quit.
That's the cheese thing.
Yeah, I guess so. So maybe it just needs to be a little shorter. I don't know.
With the goofy, like, I am the great adventurer.
Tractoom, yes.
Yeah.
Tractoom in his subligar.
Yes, well. That's how you know somebody's serious, if they have a subligar. Or less, I guess. Thanks, Godbert.
A subligar?
I mean, Godbert just never bothered to set a goldsmithing set because he doesn't need one. Yes, I'm reminded of Tractoom every time I pull out my Wind Up Leviathan minion. Because they apparently went to him for consultation, and he provided a crude sketch. And sometimes the localization in this game gets real naughty. But yeah, also apparently we get to fly.
Yeah, and we don't even have to have a dragon destroy the world for it.
Cough, cough.
Wait a minute.
But yeah, I mean, people have been assuming this was coming for a while because, like, the walls had shown up in the old world that you could bump into in certain places.
Some people noticed they've been cleaning up some of the out-of-bounds stuff in the old world.
That too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if nothing else, hopefully this means we'll be able to fly over the lake at Bronze Lake.
Yeah, there's a bunch of places that are kind of a pain in the butt to get to.
Yeah, that, and to a lesser extent, going from one side to the other at Costa del Sol and Wineport.
Yes.
Like, just let me mount up and fly over. That would be nice.
I mean, the other good thing for me this time going around is that I know just how useless Gil is to me for the most part. And so, whereas the first time I leveled through, I was running through the world and taking the ferries, and now I'm just gonna use the Aetheryte. I'm gonna teleport wherever I need to go. I will eat whatever it costs me to do it because there is no reason not to.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd been considering making a new character to, like, go through the original story again and see it again.
It's been real fun. Moore and I have been rolling around and being very slow because we've also been leveling crafting and gathering, and I mean, he's been, collecting cards and stuff.
I think it's insane that he's working on a second deck, just saying.
Yeah, well. I mean, this whole process is somewhat insane, but that's the point. Like, we're just messing around and not rushing, and we don't really have any particular objective. We've already gotten farther than I thought we would before we gave up.
I mean, I can do nothing to judge. Seconds ago, I dinged 120 on my fourth 120 in rapid succession in World of Warcraft, so like I have no leg to stand on.
Yeah, that rep bonus is really tempting, but leveling botany right now is where it's at.
I need to do that on my actually main character.
I mean, at some point they streamlined that.
They did.
Because it's quite nice.
Tried it recently.
I need to get back in and try, because like, here's what I remember is when Heavensward came out, they made mining and botany a pain in the butt, and I did not want to do it. And I've heard that's improved.
Yeah, it has.
A bunch of the Heavensward stuff is just gone. Like, they took a look at the skill set that they gave miners and botanists in Heavenward and decided to mostly toss it.
Well, I remember you had to stealth around all the time, and like stuff could see you occasionally, and you were moving slow, and it was a pain. And
stealth is not full speed.
Stealth is full speed now, and it just makes you nothing sees you.
Yep.
No level basis. Like,
what's 4 levels higher than you? I think.
Okay, yeah, I guess a little bit level basis. I was already maxed when it switched over to that, so.
But I'm already wondering how I managed to do some of these quests back in the day without being able to just turn on botany and stealth through that mine full of annoying kobolds.
That would have been real nice. Because that's a good cheat.
It's been pretty great.
But yeah, gathering and crafting both have been like severely streamlined and highly improved, and like lots of quality of life features added. Like, I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago to Tam, omnicrafting is actually a thing you can do now, because there just aren't any cross-class skills anymore. Just every crafting class gets the same set of skills.
You mean
get all of them?
You mean monocrafting?
That's what I mean. Monocrafting. You don't have to be an omnicrafter.
Yeah.
Monocrafting is 100% viable.
However, they moved some of the skills that I previously had to class skills from class quests, so I need to go back and do all those class quests I forgot about.
And if
I only have one crafter level, and I have armor smith at 70. 70.
And if you have access to it, the Firmament, the Holy Shard Restoration thing is a great way to level crafting and gathering both.
Yes, very much so.
The diadem is actually pretty entertaining now.
Yeah.
You get a rocket launcher.
Yes, that is wonderful.
I'm sad that's not a machinist ability.
There's going to be Beast Tribe crafting quests coming soon, too.
Yeah, the dwarves.
Yep.
There are already Beast Trap gathering quests, which is mostly why I want to level the gathering class.
Yes, because the mount you get from there is one of the best mounts.
Scree.
I don't even care about that so much as there's eventually going to be another Beast Tribe Unity quest.
It's true, and I'm really curious what it's going to be, because like how is he going to make it to the first?
Mm-hmm. I'm sure we'll find some way.
I mean, that said,
to
we're
come to
still
the
waiting.
first.
Yeah, that said, we're still waiting for Greg to show up.
What if those are? I hope those are related.
I hope those are related. I hope those are related.
That would be fantastic.
I'm pretty sure the Unity quests require the previous Unity quests, so that's way too much content to lock Hildebrand behind.
But I'm 100% fine with him blocking the new Unity quest behind Hildebrand. Anybody who doesn't done all the Hildebrand stuff, that's their own fault.
Man, I'm proudly the only person in existence who just really doesn't like those quests, and I'm going through them again now from scratch because I can, and I still, having seen them most of the way through, I still they're just not for me. I just don't appreciate whatever is happening in them.
You don't like pure absurdity.
I mean, that's fine, because that's definitely not for everyone.
It's true.
Yeah. I'm just, it surprises me that I am the only person I know who just dislikes them. It's just weird. I don't know. I will still do them, but...
You are not the only person you know, as Pix does not like them either.
Okay.
I'm not in love with the Hildebrand quests. I'm in love with the Hildebrand boss fights.
Yeah, those are great.
I'm hoping if they bring Hildebrand back, they'll bring back those boss fights.
Have we had a boss fight since Ultros?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
well,
one?
There's one in ARR after Ultros.
I mean, the most recent was Yojimbo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did not do the Yojimbo boss fight.
It's pretty good.
It really is. Although when I managed to finally get into it, apparently someone was very cranky that they had been in the queue for 2 hours. They end up in this fight. I don't know.
There's a bunch of stuff, just because I was thinking about what Grace was saying, there's a bunch of stuff that I feel like I should like in FF14 more than I do. I don't know why. I haven't quite been pulled back into its gravitational pull.
I picked up my relics and completed the story quest that's out so far, so I've seen some things.
I mean, that's the thing. I haven't logged into my main since I've been doing this. I still basically haven't done anything on her since the baseline story for this expansion.
Yeah.
And I'm not in a hurry to do it. I'm having fun doing my own stupidity.
There's some really interesting stuff when you decide it's time.
Yeah, like
yes.
I'm interested in doing that, but I also know that like what I'm interested in doing is playing through story and then the expansion story. And I don't know that I care about anything else. Like I definitely don't care about the gear grind, like at all.
My primary interaction with the gear grind is how much do I need to do to see the latest chunk of story?
Yeah.
And admittedly, if I played more continuously, that wouldn't even be a concern, but I don't.
Right. I don't either. And there's like, I don't know, there's not enough there for me to want to.
But that's a problem that you can throw money at. Or nuts. Nuts will also solve the problem.
Yeah, but you have to play a lot to get the money to throw at it.
There's ways. Among other things, honestly, the amount of money necessary isn't that much, and I can craft anything you need. So, if you do decide to start playing again and need gear, let me know.
I might do that.
Plus the Neo Ishgardian stuff, most of it is pretty cool looking, I think.
Yeah,
They
it is.
They cut off my main source of income.
Well, Which was?
Do holiday events for house decor and then don't log in for 6 months. And then when I get back, those sell for millions. And it was amazing. I made
I know you made a very large amount of gill and cherry trees.
I mean, our current house is funded primarily off of cherry blossom trees. Was able to buy a guild medium house for us, plus I think about 20% donations from people on cherry blossoms, and still have enough left over in my personal account for several gear upgrades.
I know I do not have a high enough gear level for the next story dungeon.
Again, just let me know what you need. I will craft it.
I don't even know what I need, but yeah, I mean, that's...
Yeah, I'll probably take you up on that.
I did have the gear for the story dungeon after starting the relic quest, because the relic quest is do a quest and get a 285 weapon.
Yes. Yeah, you should definitely do the relic quest as soon as you can, which I don't know that there is a gear requirement for it.
There isn't.
There might be. Okay. Because it's entirely solo. But yeah, that'll get you a weapon that is I guess 15 item level lower than the very best thing you can have right now. 5 lower than what you can get without doing Savage. Yeah, and it has 5 materia slots, so they are good weapons.
And if you want more, they're just poetics.
That still doesn't make any sense to me. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop on these.
Yeah, they'll probably be in the next patch.
Yeah. I mean, we know that
bet they've got data.
We know that the next step involves a new zone and adventuring in it.
I mean, last expansion, I have a lot of relic weapons, and from last expansion, I have 0 relic weapons. So
if I had to hazard a guess, I would bet that they saw a certain percentage of players go after relic weapons in the original. They saw a smaller subset of players go after relic weapons in Heaven's Word.
That sounds about right.
They changed it dramatically for Stormblood, and it was probably calamitous.
Yes.
And I would not be surprised if they were like, if we're going to put all this work into these, we need to not vanilla Naxxramas them and only have 2% of the player base ever even see them.
Yeah.
Let's make this easy as fuck.
So yeah, the first stage is easy as fuck.
Yep.
It really is. And chock full of story.
There's also a cool story in there, which is nice.
Yeah, they also don't need to add huge grinds to the game. The game has enough.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's not necessary to have a 6-month-long grind for an epic weapon. That's just going to cause people to bounce. There's enough other stuff in the game to do.
The people who are into stuff like that can grind on Savage.
I mean, part of the reason I have so many relic weapons is that you don't have to grind on Savage.
Right.
Yep. I'm at the point where I actually have enough of the item that you buy with the Poetics for 2 more relic weapons in my inventory because I capped on Poetics. And
I'm never going to cap on Poetics, I don't think. Not anytime soon.
So at this point, I have 7 relic weapons and need to get some more classes up to 80.
So I did have a topic I wanted to talk about before we close out the show, and I know we're getting towards the end of it. So I hope you don't mind me segueing, Belle, and everyone.
Nope.
So Ash, when did Sea of Thieves come out? 2016?
2016.
Yeah, okay. I've only heard bad things about Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Exclusively.
I remember when it came out, and it was basically, this is a horrible game where you will get, repeatedly murdered by horrible people.
But here's the thing. It's okay, so this is just a little aside. That's been the case with every game that has any kind of world PvP.
Yeah, it's a sandbox game.
I remember us going back to Arcade years after it released, and it was a charming little game, and we never once encountered PvP. Yeah.
And so I have a coworker who really wanted to play a game this weekend, and he's he's recently set up a new computer, and he's like, hey, I want to play something, and the only 2 games I have are Jedi Fallen Order and Sea of Thieves. I was like, all right, I'll load up Sea of Thieves, give this a shot. I'm probably not going to like it, but So I played that game for 4.5 hours this afternoon. It's really, really fun. I can see how this game would be a miserable PvP hellscape. In 4.5 hours, we did not come closer to spyglass range of another set of players. We could see their sails in the distance, and it was a simple matter to be like, let's not go in their direction. And we didn't encounter anybody else. We went and did our own adventures, totally unbothered by anybody. And this is including the 90 minutes we spent. We saw this cool sparkly thing, so we went to the cool sparkly thing. It turns out the cool sparkly thing is visible from like anywhere in a giant radius and shows up on the map. We looted a chest it was a shipwreck, so we dove down and like looted the shipwreck and got this cool chest from it. And it turns out, we found out again an hour later, that this chest marks us on the map because it's an event chest and is like a beacon for other people to come and try to take it from us. Totally unbothered. There's also only one place on the map where you can turn them in. And we were like, well, I guess we're just never going to get to turn this in. We might as well try after selling all of our other stuff. And it was fine. We just got in, sold it, got a ton of cool rewards, and went about our merry way. And like, I've seen those beacon, like, hey, this person has the thing. They can only go to one place. That place is patrolled constantly by other players ready to take the thing. And it just wasn't. And in the meantime, the ship is really fun. Like moving around, like actually doing stuff in the ship is really fun because the ship has a bunch of different stations and you can do some really neat stuff. If you've got somebody like trimming the sails and another person at the wheel and another person on the navigating, somebody up with a spyglass in the crow's nest. You know, you have people running around shooting cannon. You know, if you get into a fight, you have people running around shooting cannons and patching up the sides of the ship and bailing and maneuvering and maybe boarding other ships if you fight them.
Now, was there non-player combat to have? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
So we went to a bunch of islands where there were skeleton pirates that we fought, including like skeleton pirate bosses that we fought. We got attacked by a kraken, and that was crazy. We got attacked by there's like a bunch of giant sea creatures that will attack your ship, and you fight them, and you can you mostly are just trying to chase them off or get away from them because they're huge and terrifying, but like they're epic fights. It was this epic thing where this, you know, the kraken tentacles are like lifting people up, and, you know, I'm hacking at the tentacle with my sword trying to get it to drop me. Because I wasn't fast enough, it like decided it was going to get rid of me, but threw me at the other guy I was with, and like knocked us both into the sea. So we then had to swim after our boat, which was still going. You can basically get treasure maps and follow treasure maps, and treasure maps take like 3 or 4 different forms. The basic one, you can like buy these very basic ones, and they're like, there's treasure kind of at this island. Go try to find it. Here's an X on the island, and you just find that X on the island and dig up treasure. Hooray. But on the way, you run into all sorts of other stuff. And they're just like, they're shockingly well messaged. It's like, oh, hey, there's a shipwreck here. You can see birds circling. And if you see birds circling, there's either floating loot that you can grab, or there's a shipwreck down there you can go find. And there's loot there. You can stop at pretty much any island, and islands have stuff ranging from treasure to useful stuff to help patch up your ship, or more cannonballs or food or whatever. There's all kinds of unmarked islands. We ran around this big unmarked island that turned out to have like a big jumping puzzle with a treasure chest at the end. We randomly stopped at some other island that looked haunted, and it turned out it was haunted, and it kicked off a whole story quest line with puzzles where we were chasing a ghost ship and putting long dead haunted captains to rest by collecting their skulls, and we got a magic sword at the end. And it was really, really neat. Just like, you've got this crew teamwork, you know, if you're holding a chest trying to get it back to the ship, you can't do anything else. So you've got other people like I was running with the chest, and my buddy was fighting off skeletons as we tried to get away from this haunted island. You've got different stations on the ship that anybody can do, but you sort of fall into different roles.
So while this game having content is definitely a development from 4 years ago, and I'm glad to see it, I think the fact that if you see another player, you don't know if they're going to turn your good day into a bad one is a bit of a deal breaker for me. And apparently there's no way to turn that off.
There's no way to turn... As far as I know, there's no way to turn that off, but...
Just because you didn't run into anyone doesn't mean that I can't have this experience.
It's
right.
true.
And it's definitely a deal breaker. The threat that this is a thing that could happen and ruin my day is enough to make me not want to set foot in it, just because I could be having a delightful adventure like you had, but that instead of being done and having had a delightful adventure, it could be ruined at the last minute by a bunch of people being jerks. And I don't need that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. For me, there were enough other things that could create big problems that other players weren't other players are just another thing. Because it's like, we lost all of our treasure. Like, we lost an hour's worth of treasure when the Kraken attacked our ship and cracked it in two, and we died and the ship sank. But it was still an epic fight, and it was like that didn't involve another player at all. I can see that it wasn't a deal breaker for me. I expected it to be, but the relative frequency with which we saw other players and how easy it is to react to seeing other players in such a way that it's very hard for them to do anything to you helped a lot. Because it's like you see a sail on the horizon, and that's like 5 minutes of sailing for them to reach you.
Well, and to go back to what I was talking about, I am convinced there is a roaming group of people that like to grief other players, and they bounce from game to game. And once they've had their fun in one game, they move over to a new game. Like right now, the game of choice is, I don't remember the name of it, but it's the one where you build the giant walking sand ships that premiered at like either E3 or the video game show.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but it's the new hotness for griefers.
Yeah.
So, but when it's no longer fertile grounds, there'll be another one that people move over to, because like that kind of player needs a critical mass of quote unquote chumps for them to get their enjoyment.
Yeah.
And once they've left a game, they seem to just be gone from it. And I mean, that's been my experience with like Arcade and games that once upon a time were griefy as hell. Like I can remember trying to cross this one bay in a rowboat and just getting sunk by people in big ships that were doing nothing but hanging out in that bay and just ramming into the rowboats. But like all of that was gone when I went back to it.
Yeah, I think that the other thing for me is having played it, I can get a good sense of what if you did decide to like go pirate some other ship, I have a better understanding of what that costs you and how easy it would be to grief a griefer. Because you have to have cannonballs, you have to have all of the stuff, and like damage to your ship is kind of a pain. So that's a big risk. And all the other side would have to do is just like tip a treasure chest over the side of the ship, and like, all right, we just tip a treasure chest over. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to keep chasing us, or are you going to go after that? If you go after that, we're gone. If you continue to attack us in the hopes that we have something else, you're going to lose that treasure chest because it doesn't last very long if it's just floating in the sea. Which apparently Sea of Thieves PvPers hate to death that people do this. Just like, no, we're just gonna tip our chest into the sea. Neither of us can have it. That's cool. GTFO. And like, what are you gonna do about it? Whereas I can't stop a Kraken. I don't know how to make a Kraken go away other than prayer, which wasn't very effective, I might add.
Clearly you befriend it and you go on adventures with your Kraken.
Yes, this is the correct course.
That would be amazing. I want that Kraken because that Kraken is legit. The other thing...
You buy it a really big Gundam kit, and that will make it happy.
It's got enough arms for it. The other thing is that it is so charming in so many little ways. Starting with character creation. Character creation is this absolutely crazy, like, pirate caricature thing where you choose...
I was going to say, is there character creation now?
Sort of. You are presented with a set of randomly generated pirates, and you can randomly generate new pirates, and you select one. And they run a totally huge, crazy gamut of appearances, most of which are really charming. The game has absolutely no truck whatsoever with traditional standards of attractiveness. You're going to make somebody who looks cool and you believe is a pirate, not somebody who's pretty, under basically any circumstances.
My favorite thing that it does that's just silly is the way that they eat bananas.
Yes. There's a bunch of silly things that it does.
Bananas.
You hold the banana and you tilt it towards your mouth, stem first, and just take a bite out of it like an apple. It's you start for free with a bunch of different instruments, and you can just play an instrument and it'll play like a sea shanty. But if multiple people are all playing instruments and every instrument plays a different tune, if there's multiple people playing instruments in proximity to one another, the tunes will synchronize. And so you and the other person will be playing music together as a band. And the more people you get with different instruments, the more elaborate the song gets. It's one of those things where it's like, if you think that you can get past the chance of PvP at all, it is 100% worth hopping in and giving a shot to, just because it's super charming and like incredibly fun to play with other people, especially because the pacing is great. Like a lot of games that I play that have multiple people, it's kind of a constant go, 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 go. There isn't any downtime because you just go from one thing to the next. And if you ever have downtime, that's when people will leave or get bored. Whereas here, because you're sailing around, you have this natural busy and not flow. And it works really, really well. I understand why so many people like to get together on the regular and play it like super casually, because it's really great for that. And it's like 80% about cosmetics. Like almost everything that I've seen that I can buy are consumables for the ship and cosmetic gear. So it just starts you at the true end game.
Yeah, I'm really sad. Everything that you're describing sounds like something that I would be super into, and there is a 0% chance that I will purchase it because of the risk of PvP. So it is not my jam. And the anxiety it creates in my brain will cancel out all the rest of the charm of the game.
Yeah, that's the same. That's the problem I have.
Yeah, that makes me really sad because I feel like you would love this game.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds like it. But my brain is just not wired to deal with this threat of PvP when I don't want it.
It does do a tutorial that has no other players in it, which gets a lot of the charm kind of straight off the bat. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, hey, I can see if this even appeals without having to deal with other players. Oh,
yeah, I know I have it installed because you can get it through Xbox Game Pass, and I think it's $5 a month for the Windows 10 version of Xbox Game Pass. And I installed it and never got around to playing it. Side note, Xbox Game Pass is a really freaking good deal. Okay. Any parting thoughts about Sea of Thieves or anything else?
I think we're good.
Yep, I think we've managed to go our length and then some. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.